Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. It's Ro, and yes, this is going to be part 2 of our mini journal tutorial. This is going to be the last part, as we are just going to be learning how I bind my journals, so we can finish up the journals that we are making. So for this, to bind the journals, you will be needing a few tools. So I'll just put this aside. In case you miss it, the first part of this tutorial is going to be linked down below so you can check it out. And then if you want to make one, go ahead and go back to that video and then come back to this video once you are done putting your pages together. So for this, to bind your journals, you are going to need this right here. This is an awl. It's I'm not sure if a pokey tool will work because I haven't tried it, but yeah, I use an awl to punch holes whenever I bind my journals. And then I have this foam right here. It just helps me poke easier because I'm going to be putting that piece of foam behind the pages, behind the journals, and then the journal pages, I mean. And then you are going to need a needle. I'm just using a regular, like a bigger size needle with a hole that is big enough to fit my embroidery thread. I am using like just a regular embroidery thread, and then I'm using all of the strands. I'm not removing a few strands. So yeah, that one. And then the last one you will need is a ruler, so you can perfectly punch your like poke your holes the same distance between each other. Now I'm just going to thread, and then the length of the embroidery thread, I don't really measure it, I just kind of eyeball it, but I want to make sure it's long enough. It's better for the thread to be longer than for it to be shorter, and then you'll end up having a hard time tying your knot. So this one, it's usually around, it also depends on the size of your journal, but for a mini journal, maybe I'm just guessing, maybe about 12 to 16 inches in length for the embroidery thread. So you can just eyeball it, and yeah, go for a longer thread rather than like make it shorter, because you can always like shorten it once you're done. So now you open up all your journal pages, and we are going to start with the centermost page. And then I am going to line up my ruler in the center of that page where your fold will be. And then I will line my ruler like that. So I will put the edge of the ruler at an inch, just so whenever I poke my holes, they will be an inch apart. It doesn't matter if you start from the bottom or the top, as long as you begin at an inch mark, and then you are going to poke at every inch. So if you do that, you will end up having 5. Yeah, so you will end up having 5 holes. There's that. And then I just flip that page and then move on to my next page. And then do the same process until you are done with all the pages. If you line this up perfectly, you won't have any trouble like binding your pages together. And then on to our next page. For this journal, if you missed it on the first part of this tutorial, we are making 4 pages. I think you can still go up to maybe 6. I don't really like to put a lot of pages in my journal, because once you put your photos, it is gonna get like really chunky. And yeah, I just like to keep it as simple and like not very chunky once I am done like with the journaling and adding all my pictures. So there we have poked all the holes, and then now that we have it, you are just going to line up all those pages together. Sometimes it's easier if you have a clip and then you clip all the pages together, just so once you start sewing, they are not gonna move. Right here, I am just gonna work on my second journal, because remember, I am making 2 journals. For most of the time, whenever I make journals, I like to make two of the same thing, or 2 of the similar thing, because whenever I make journals, I usually use a collection kit, and then in a collection kit, I think you can make maybe like 3 or 4 mini journals, and I like to use up as much as I can, just so I don't have a lot of scraps. And then I keep the journal. Sometimes I do gift the journals, and then I keep one for myself if it's possible, just so I have something to remember a certain project by. So I'm just poking my holes here. Now, as I said earlier, once you are done, the first thing you do is you grab your needle with the embroidery thread, and then you poke through the middle hole, and then you're gonna do that for all the pages. Please make sure that you start with the innermost page. So that's the center page. So you are gonna poke through all the pages, through the middle hole, and then make sure that you have enough left over hanging inside, leftover of the thread hanging inside, because once you're pulling, if it's way too short, you might end up like pulling it all the way through, which is what I am gonna do later, because I forgot to like hold it, and then my hanging thread is not that, it wasn't that long, so I ended up pulling it off out of the journal. But anyway, the next thing you do is now you go either up or down. So it's just like sewing. So you go in and then you go in, or and then you go out. So it's just like a running stitch. So here I am just poking through the holes, the next hole. So again, it doesn't matter whether you sew through the upper hole or the lower hole, as long as you do the running stitch, you'll be fine. So there's that. And then next, whenever you are done like putting your needle through like one stitch, you want to try and pull your thread just to make sure that it is tight, because you do not want loose like binding. And then next, let's go to the next hole. So it's very self-explanatory, very simple sewing. Sometimes it's quite tricky to go through all the holes, like especially here, because I did not clip the pages together, so sometimes like it moves, so you would have to like figure out a way to poke through all the holes. So yeah, as I said earlier, you can use a clip to put all the pages together just so they don't move while you're binding. And then now that you are done with the last hole, either in the bottom or the top, like wherever like you started, so the next thing you do is you want to go back now. So since we went up, now we are going back down. So I am going to insert this onto this hole right here, and then like just go all the way until you reach the bottom. So yeah, as I said, whenever you go do your stitching, check and make sure that it is tight. But also, while making your stitches tight, also make sure that you do not pull it too hard, because sometimes it actually depends on the paper, but sometimes it can tear the paper if you like pull it too hard. So just be careful. So now here we are just finishing up all our stitches. So now we are going to go to the bottom holes right here. And then through our last hole. And then this is the last hole right here. So what we're going to do is now we are going to go back to this hole until, so you sew until you are back So now you now have all stitching done, and now we are going to tie this together. We'll tie a knot, just pulling it and making sure that all the pages are bound together tightly. And then now we are just going to simply tie a knot. I usually do 3 knots just to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't unravel, or it doesn't untie. And then I always like to tie my knot back to the middle hole just so it is balanced. And then there I just tied 1 knot, and then what I'm gonna do is I am just gonna go my last check and make sure that all the knots, like all the stitches, are well pulled and it's not loose on any page. So there's that. And once you see that they are pulled really well, like pulled tightly, now I am gonna do my 2 other knots just to keep it secure, and then after that I will just cut off any excess thread and we are done. So I'm just going to be working on this other journal. I'll just quickly bind it and I will be right back in a few. And we are done, you guys. So here I am just going to embellish, put some tags and like journaling spots for our journals. I pre-cut all these embellishments right here. I have like frames, tags, and then I even cut a memory decks just to fill up our journals. I also went ahead and grabbed all the remaining cut aparts that we have left, and then I'm just going to divide it. So these two journals are the same, like 100% the same, because I had enough paper and all the pieces to make exactly like two of the exact same journals. So I am just going to fill this up with my embellishments, and I will be right back. Up next, you want to go grab your closures, whatever trim you want to use. I am just using these yarn right here. Got some chunky yarns. And then I am just going to like measure it. It really depends on you how long you want your closure to be. Sometimes you want to like wrap it twice, or you can even just like wrap it once. Like it really depends on you how long you want your closures to be. So I'm just gonna use all these two yarns, like cut them long enough to however I like, and then I'm just gonna tie it. I did not put it in this video, but after this one I went ahead and made added a few paper clips and added a charm dangle just to further embellish this set of journals. And there you have it. We are finally done with our mini journals. I hope you had a fun time putting this journal together. And yeah, that is it for now. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.